Okay, here we are with week 7. So we're actually getting close to the middle of the semester. So hang in there and keep doing a great job and keep up with everything that's required. So I've got a kind of a checklist here that I want us to go over. First of all, excuse me, the activity is going to be a little bit different this week, and I'm going to give you a heads up on it. First of all, it's going to look different than anything you've done so far, and so it's going to ask you a question, and then there's going to be either a true, false, or multiple choice question. Okay, and so when you locate the answer, you might have to move your cursor around a little bit on the answer to get it to come out. So what'll happen is when you click on it, this little tongue will kind of come out like this. All right, kind of come out, and it'll say correct or incorrect on it. And so if it says correct, there's going to be a little slide at the bottom, or a little tab that lights up at the bottom, says next slide. It will actually do that also if you get the wrong answer. So what I want you to do is, if you get the wrong answer, then click another answer and see if it's the correct one. Don't move on to the next slide until you have found the correct answer. Now, if I was doing it, I would want to know if I could get them correct. I wouldn't just start clicking on all the different answers. I'd see if I could get the one correct, and then I'd try the second one that I thought might be correct. But like I say, you can do it all on one page. It'll show up like next slide, but if you get it incorrect, then try another answer and see if that's the correct answer. And then by the time you get to the end, it will tell you what your score is, and then click the next slide. So it'll say 9 out of 9, and then click the next slide, and then it'll say finish, and make sure you click on the finish button so that it records your score. And as always, make sure that you check your grade record and see if there's a blue clock there, or if your score is there. And so that way you'll be sure to get the points for the assignment. You can try it as many times as you want, so if you don't get the full 9 out of 9, then click it out and start all over and do it again. Okay. The second thing is, there's going to be an article on the death of the preschool. It's going to talk about the difference between what parents and the experts are saying about what early education should be like, preschool should be like. Sometimes the school, because of pressure from parents and maybe powers that be up above, start to make preschool into a class that you might look at as a high school class or even a college class, something much further down the road, using direct instruction. In other words, you sit there, I'm going to stand here, and I'm going to tell you what you need to know. And so a lot of research is going away from that. I talked about last time about having that creative approach to learning, where actually the teacher gets down with the students, gets involved in their play with them, and then kind of directs play through scaffolding. So that's the most effective way. So you're going to see a difference. This is a little different quiz. It's a little short answer quiz. Make sure when you answer the questions that are asking about experiments that you talk about more than one experiment, and that you talk about what the experiment involved. Don't just say, well, there was an experiment where this or this happened. What was the experiment, and what went on in the experiment? And there's a big difference between what some parents want a preschool to look like and what the experts are saying. So this will also help you in your development of your preschool project, which you should hopefully be working on. It's due next week at the end of the week, so hopefully you're starting to think about how you're going to put that together and how you're going to present it. So there's also another article on preschool that's about actually something as crazy as it might sound, but preschool suspensions. Are they happening? If they're happening, who's likely to be suspended? And it's kind of a very revealing article. Then you're going to have some little mini lectures. They're going to cover a variety of topics. Two of them are going to be about problem solving and working with children that are more than just having a bad day. Um, and they don't just throw a little fit, but it's really hard to get them out of their fit. So it goes on and on and on, and it intensifies and intensifies and intensifies. And if the parent kind of comes back at that intensity with more intensity, frustration, anger, then it just gets even worse. So you're going to see one presentation on CPS, and that's where kind of the child and the adult kind of work out collaborative problem solving. They're going to collaborate on how we're going to solve this problem. And then there's another one on difficult or challenging behaviors, and it takes you into a few more strategies to deal with these children that are, like I say, it's not just the normal child throwing a little fit and you send them to their room or put them in timeout. That's not going to work with these children. And then there's one that I like, that it's a presentation on new research that has to do with vocabulary acquisition and how that plays into reading. It's going to give you some statistics of kind of what children are coming with when they come to school and what the challenges are to deal with the variety of expertise that these children have. It's going to go a little bit about against your textbook when it talks about fast mapping and how children actually take in new words and new information. It's an ongoing process. It's not an explosion. It's not like just all of a sudden these words are in their head. Are they in a critical period and a sensitive period? Certainly. They're in a critical period where language acquisition is happening, and which makes them more sensitive to language and to interaction that relates with language. However, it's a continued exposure, an ongoing event that really helps children come to school with the adequate vocabulary to succeed. And then there's a little short lecture on what does it mean to be gifted? What are learning disabilities? Can we, instead of saying learning disabilities, that actually everybody has certain abilities and everybody has certain things that they're not so good at. So, so that's one that's going to talk about what does it mean to be gifted, because we're hearing more and more about just about, everybody's gifted, okay? And so what does it really mean to be gifted? I hope you'll watch the little film. There's no quiz with it by Ellen Winter, who is a foremost expert in this area, and she'll give you more insight into what it means to be gifted. And then, of course, there's exam on chapters 4, 5, and 6. And so it's open book, open note. You have 90 minutes to answer 60 questions. It's going to be just like the last one. So hopefully you're kind of a seasoned pro and you can get through that successfully. What I also want to remind you of is that, once again, that the preschool project is due at the end of the 8th week, which is next week. Also, what I'm going to do next week, on the 8th week, I'm going to open up weeks 8 and 9, because week 9 actually falls during spring break. So if you don't want any assignments over spring break, then you can work ahead. Now, week 8 will end on its normal Monday to Monday type of schedule, but week 9 will be a Monday to 2 weeks before it's due. So if you want to get all your assignments done for week 8 and week 9 and have spring break to just kind of play and have a good time, then that's up to you. Okay, so in week 8 next week, and I'll remind you of this next week, is that assignments for 2 weeks will show up. Okay, if you have any questions about the preschool project, then let me know, or questions about anything else. Once again, I want to remind you, if you email myself or one of my TAs, please tell us which class you're in, which section you're in. It just makes things so much easier for us to attend to your concerns. Okay, so have a great week.